Welcome everyone to the first in a series of talks called Running in Heels. It is on your radio, and we will be talking to the women candidates who will be running in the upcoming general elections in St. Kitts and Nevis. My name is Hazel Brandy-Williams. I'm the Minister of Health and Gender Affairs in the Nevis Island Administration. And I will be the host for today. And I am encouraging everybody to log on, sign on as soon as possible. Call your friend, call your neighbors, call your co-workers, and let them know that the newest talk show or the newest conversation is on your radio. Running in Heels, history in the making. The upcoming St. Kitts and Nevis general elections promises to be an historic one as we anticipate the nomination of the largest number of female candidates in our nation's history. As a parliamentarian who has championed the cause of women and gender equality across the length and breadth of this country, in the region, and I must say as well around the globe, I realize that it is time for us to have a conversation with those women. I had to highlight and create some space for this momentous occasion. I want to say from the very onset that there is a reason behind hosting this program. In 2016, I participated in a study that was done by the Commonwealth of Nations, and it was called Women and Political Parties in 5 Small States of the Commonwealth Caribbean. And then again in 2018, another study was done by the UN Women, and it was called Women in Political Leadership in the Caribbean. And guess what? St. Kitts-Nevis was a part of these 2 studies. And the reason being is because we had less than 20% of women in parliament and in elective politics at that time. Back then, I think we had 1 MP, and that was the MP from the Labour Party. Today, we now see that tide changing. St. Kitts and Nevis now has a record 7 female candidates from 5 political parties who are vying in winnable seats, and that is commendable because they now have a chance to be elected and to serve the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And so Running in Heels was designed to give the women candidates a space to showcase themselves, present themselves to the general public, to articulate their political journey, where they have come from, what has inspired them to take this journey, what have they done for themselves in terms of community upliftment to bring them to this very pivotal moment, and to present their future aspirations if they were to become successful and enter the halls of Parliament. Today, we have our first guest, and I am happy to present to you, the general public, our dear sister, Natasha Shani Gray-Brooks, who is the representative or the candidate for the People's Action Movement Party. Welcome, Shani.
Good afternoon, Honorable Hazel Brandy-Williams. It is a pleasure to be here, and I say good afternoon to my listening audience, those who are listening via all the platforms, whether it is on radio or social media. My name is Natasha Shani Gray-Brooks, and I am the candidate for East Bastia PAM in the upcoming general elections. It is a pleasure for me to be here and to be the first guest on Running in Heels. even though I ran across the road, not in heels this afternoon, but it reminded me that there are so many things that women have to balance in not just their professional life, but political life. And sometimes I ask myself, but how do I get this done? And I think it's God. It can't be anything else because I mean, I've had a number of challenges throughout my life, and every time I look back at those challenges, I have to smile and say it could not be anything but the grace of God. And so I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to share my story. I'm happy to engage with not just my constituents, but persons within the entire federation, because this is a conversation that the entire country should be open to as we continue to accept and embrace our females in the political arena.
Very good. This is how we as women balance things. That is very integral to our everyday life. The fact that we have to balance between our professional job and our personal lives. So, Shani, could I call you Shani?
Of course.
Thank you very much.
As civil as we can call each other Shani, Hazel. I think we have that type of
Yes,
relationship.
we do. Thank you. The upcoming general elections. Tell us how you got here. Give us a little background on your journey. What you did to reach this point. Who, if any, encouraged you, empowered you to come? And how were you selected from among your peers to be at this point, at this time?
I think politics is something that just became a part of my everyday life from a very small age. I grew up in an extended family. Even though I lived with my mother, my grandmother, who I saw as the head of the household, she was intimately involved in politics. When it came to the People's Action Movement, she worked tirelessly, whether it be on functions at the party headquarters, working on voters lists, election day, assisting the member of parliament with any activities in his community, whether it's children's party, Christmas concerts, and she tagged me along. And so I saw that as something that became part of me, and because I saw the joy that she had in carrying out these tasks, although she was not running for office, she was assisting someone who was running for office. She brought smiles to people's face, and I could hear members in the constituency, "Thank you, Miss Bernice, thank you, Miss Bernice," but she was doing this on behalf of a parliamentarian. And I thought to myself, one day I can bring smiles to people's faces. I knew that it was something in me that just wanted to see other people happy. And so from a very tender age, I got involved in community activities. I became part of Girl Guides and Brownies. I also did a number of volunteer work in the community cleanup. I was part of the East Bastille Festival group. I was also a volunteer on NEMA for a number of years under the stewardship of the late Lloyd Lazar. And so being part of the community became part of me. And I think that maybe helped me to decide my career path as a lawyer. And as a lawyer, my profession, although it is something that can be rewarding, I still give service to my community, because at times some people cannot afford the service of a lawyer. And I am one who actually have my practice right next door to where I grew up. In fact, my home is on Pond Road, my legal office is on Pond Road, and now my constituency office is on Pond Road. So they are one right after the other, and that is who I am. And I think because of what I grew up in, because of my humble beginnings, being part of the community is an easy thing for me. I am not doing something just because I want to get elected. East Bastia is me and I am East Bastia. And so I have been in politics. I have served on the executive of the People's Action Movement from a very young age. In fact, at the age of 19, I would have been an inside agent for the People's Action Movement. I had one of the hardest tasks to do when my political party told me that I had to object to Denzel Douglas when he comes to vote. I was frightened. I'm not gonna tell a lie, but I did it, and I think I can do anything once I put my mind to it. I have not only served on the party executive, but I also served on the constituency executive. I was part of the candidate selection committee when we selected our candidates in 2015. In fact, I was approached to be the candidate in 2012 when I returned from studies. However, at that point in time, although I wanted to say yes, I still realized, like, okay, I was away from my son for 4.5 years, and I just wanted that time now to really rekindle the bond that we have, because even though I was away, we still communicated, we still connected. I wanted to rekindle that bond. I wanted to be the mommy that I know I am, and also try and really get myself settled into my legal practice. And so I wanted to say yes. I really did, because I know if I had said yes, I would have been the Honorable Natasha Gray Brooks right now. And so I deferred. I said I would work with whoever the candidate is, and I would do my best to ensure that that person is elected. And I find, because I have worked with a number of candidates in East Bastia and also in other parts of the country for the People's Action Movement, if I can do that for them, and they're all males, if I can do that for them, I can do it for myself. And I think I have that connection with the constituency, and being the community person I am, although this was not the campaign that I anticipated, because when I was announced as a candidate in October, I was pregnant. No one knew I was pregnant. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant, and here I am going into elections. But I have 3 years. That's what I said. That's what I said in my mind. I have 3 years. I could get things going. I could just continue doing some of the programs that I've already implemented in the constituency. But then January came. January came with a number of challenges. It came with COVID. I had COVID for 2 weeks. I was hospitalized. I was on sick leave until February. And then March, I got the baby. In fact, the week before the baby born was our party's convention. And when person said, like, oh, you have a baby? I said, yes. They said, but you didn't look so, you were on the stage. And that is the passion I have. Once I put my mind to something, I just go for it, all in all. And so here I am, your humble servant.
Very good. You outlined a number of groups that you have participated in, Brownie Guides. You have been a real grassroots person, and that in and of itself would give you some impetus to working with your people in your community.
Yes.
And I think that in and of itself would have helped mold you. You said something there about you being pregnant, and that has stood out for me. I remember at your campaign, your convention, when I looked at you, you were heavy with child, but there you
9
were,
months.
there you were doing what you had to do. For me, that epitomizes the strength of a woman and how flexible we are. You have been able to balance your political life, your social life, your professional life, and here you are today. Tell me a bit about some of the international organizations that would have helped you in crafting your path to where you are today?
But the People's Action Movement is part of the Caribbean Democratic Union as well as the International Democratic Union. And I have had a number of training workshops and seminars, both inside and outside of the Federation. I've traveled to Germany on behalf of the party. I've traveled to Washington, D.C. We have had extensive training. And so I have a number of a wide range of experience as it relates to campaigning, whether it deals with financing, canvassing, recruiting volunteers. And so if things don't go right for me in this election, it will be my fault because I know what to do. I know what is required. I have had a number of opportunities to enhance myself. I was also the treasurer for CIWIL, which is the Caribbean Institute for Women in Leadership. There is a new executive in place that came in place, I think it was February or March of this year. I was unable to take part in the election because at that point I would have had the baby. So it was March. I would have already had the baby. And so I was unable to take part, but I still am committed to the group. We have CIWIL SKN, which offers a wide range of training and support for our women in professional life and the political arena. And I encourage persons to become part of CIWIL, because even if you are not, you don't have the intention to enter into active politics, you can help someone. You can help that female to lift them up, because as Hazel would have indicated, the balance is not what it should be. And I am happy that I am one of the females contesting the general election, but we need more women. We need more women to help our men, and I'm not saying replace them, but help our men, because sometimes it is that soft, gentle touch that can just turn around things. It can help to create peace in a situation that you never thought that peace would exist. And so sometimes you just want to see, women have been so intertwined in our community, raising our children, educating our children, ensuring that homes are fed by cooking. And so they have a wide range of experience in everyday life. And who best to form some of these policies? And so I am happy to be sitting here with you. You have shaped our policies in our federation, because even though you are a minister in Nevis, you have impacted the lives of others here in St. Kitts. And I'm so happy to be sitting down here with you, because you are one of the persons I look up to.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. There are two things from your short discourse I want to talk to you about. I am happy that you mentioned that we are here to serve alongside our men and not to replace our men. I wanted to re-echo that, because sometimes we get the feeling that the men are apprehensive when we come around, because they feel that we come to take over as opposed to working with them. Mm-hmm. I am happy you made that point. And secondly, you spoke about policies. Let us get deep into it. I know from your bio that you are a lawyer by profession.
Yes, I am.
A very successful one at that. Give me an idea as to what your legislative agenda would be like if you are to become successful. Off the cuff of my head, I know that we have some legislations on our books still that are outmoded, for the want of a better word, such as the abortion laws. We have not seen anything done with that for years. Anything with regards to common law relationships and the sharing of assets when persons break up. And thirdly, the rights of adopted children, because they're not blood relatives. Give me an idea as to what your legislative agenda would be like.
Well, I'm happy that you mentioned a few of those issues that are not, they have been there on the books, but a number of things have been happening, and our society needs to adjust. And so, as you raise the issue of adopted children, I know sometimes a number of parents would not leave a will, and so you find that there are issues concerning children, siblings at the passing of their parents, and you find that there is this infighting. Sometimes adopted children fall into that. And so I think our legislation needs to be amended to include children, not just biological children, but the adopted children, because many instances happen where wills are not created. And so if it is a parent would have treated that adopted child as their biological child, I don't think that after the passing of their mother or their dad that they should suffer. And so that is something that we would also need to look into. The issue of abortion, there are rights. Every human being have a right. And so if it is that a person has a choice, or they want to make a choice as to whether or not they should bring a child, that is something that we need to discuss. We need to have that discussion and be able to look at alternatives for persons in terms of their rights, in terms of bringing children. Now, this is a conversation that I would have to have with my colleagues, because I don't believe in not being able to give your views. This is something I think we also need to consult with the wider community, because we have heard sometimes persons are raped and maybe they may choose, well, okay, I was raped and I don't want to be reminded of the torture and the pain that I experienced, and so they may want to make a decision not to carry a pregnancy. And so these are things that I would want us to delve into, and to be able to, I said, adjust and shape our legislation to fit with the current times. Now, there are a number of other things that I have on my agenda as it relates to the community councillors. I have been bringing that up on my political platform, but I don't think it's something that is limited to East Bastille. And I know my political leader would have spoken about a constituency development fund, which is something that I think can work hand in hand with the issue of community councillors, because sometimes you are elected as a member of parliament, but you don't form part of the government, and your constituents still have needs. And so I think the constituency development fund is something that can provide an avenue to ensure that constituents are not abandoned. And when you link that with my idea of the community council, whereby in each community a number of councillors would be assigned to ensure that their needs are met. Now, there is nothing wrong if somebody calls up their member of parliament and say, well, I would like to have my street lamp fixed, or there's a pothole in the road. But I think there should be a mechanism in place so that we can have something that runs a bit smoother, and then there is no fallout per se to say, well, I've been trying to call you for 2 months and the pothole growing bigger. I could fit in the pothole now. I think if we put the necessary structure in place, there would be that continued dialogue with your MP, directly and indirectly. And so I, as the next parliamentary representative for East Bastille, I would know the concerns. I would know what is happening. And I just don't want an issue where when I go back to get re-elected, that my constituents are saying, I have not seen you, this has been. I want to be able to craft the communities in such a way that there is constant dialogue, there is constant consultation, and so persons would have an opportunity to give their input in certain things that would be happening in the different constituencies. I also would like to continue to agitate for the good governance agenda on behalf of the People's Action Movement, freedom of information, and so I want to be able to have that voice at the table. I want to be able to give my ideas, not just on my own behalf, not just on behalf of women, but the entire constituency. I want to see girls' mentorship programs happening in different communities. We should use our community centers for the purposes for which they were built. I don't think that you should just have a community center shut down, or if it's a hurricane and it's there for housing or shelter. We should use these communities. We should use them. And so there are many people who just want someone to speak to on a daily basis. There are many people who want someone to just give them support and guidance in terms of where they want their lives to go. I believe in our youths. I was a single mother for a number of years, and I want to see a number of single women support groups happening in the constituencies, happening throughout the entire length and breadth of St. Kitts-Nevis. Because once you mold and shape your community and your society in the way that you want it to go, you would have a better St. Kitts-Nevis. And I think that is what we all want.
Definitely. And that is why you were selected. Based on what you are relaying here to us this afternoon, I think that you would have won anybody else who was in the running, any other woman who was in the running, you would have outrun them. I like the idea of the girls mentorship program and the constituency group. Even if you do not make it to parliament, at least there is something in the community that would enable continuity and would enable the projects to continue. Before we go on, I would like to let listeners know that the phone lines would be open at 2:30, and we will be asking you to call in and have a conversation with Shani, wish her well, and if there are any other questions that you would want to ask her, feel free to do so. I also want to say that we are joined by TDN Radio USA, CBN Radio Virgin Islands, REP TV, and radio. So I would want to say shout up to those persons who are viewing us via these media. Thank you very much for logging on and going through this session with us this afternoon. Shani, I want to continue our discourse. The COVID pandemic has really dealt us a blow. And in all aspects, women and girls are most disenfranchised. In the continued work, if you are to become successful, what are some of the programs that you would want to introduce to, first of all, combat the COVID pandemic and to help women in getting back to a position where they are self-sufficient?
Yes. Now, I understand from the pandemic that a number of persons became unemployed. In fact, there are some persons who have not worked since COVID in 2020. And they are struggling. They are struggling with their children. They are struggling to pay their bills. They are struggling to make ends meet. Some of them are actually on the brink of a breakdown. And one, I think financing is something that we would have to be able to not just say, okay, here is $1,000, here is $500. Create avenues to create new ideas, new employment opportunities through entrepreneurship. We can do this by not just saying, okay, I'm going to put $2 million or $400 million in a bank and you can access it. But you must help to harness the skills that a number of our individuals in society have. Some persons like to cook, some people like to sew, some people like to do makeup, whatever it is. Some people have new ideas that they just want to see go catapult forward, but they don't have the necessary support system. And I think we have to teach our society to be entrepreneurs.
Let me ask, do you think a policy document with regards to entrepreneurship is something that could help us? We have a youth policy, we have a women's policy. Do you think that an entrepreneurship policy?
I think that is ideal, Hazel. Ideal. And so it would give some guidance, and it would also be able to help people to understand, well, I need to do XYZ in order to reach there. I need to accomplish certain things. And You may not be the brightest bulb in the room, but you have that skill and talent, but you don't have the support. You don't have the ideas in terms, sorry, the know-how in terms of where to go to get the assistance, how to do a business plan, how to be able to ensure that, okay, I open a business today and it stays afloat. Sometimes you go and you get a business loan, and within 2-3 years the business flop. The bank is only concerned about getting their money, but nobody's concerned about supporting our people, supporting our small business enterprise. I mean, we have had so many businesses in the communities that have just opened and flopped. And I think there should be some concessions given to a number of persons who are interested in opening their own businesses. There should also be, as you in that policy, maybe you should have a number. Well, before XYZ can come to St. Kitts and invest in this particular area, we must have at least 4 or 5 of them in this in our society. So you give your locals an incentive, you give them, that impetus to want to be able to create new ideas, want to be able to open businesses. And if it is, you open up an avenue for entrepreneurship, women who have skills would be willing to come on board, would be willing to get the help that they need, and be able to build our society and grow our economy. I know a number of persons don't have resources when it comes to computer to help their children with homework, and I think we could have a resource center or resource centers. So I'm now thinking just constituency number 1, but I could still think island wide in terms of St. Kitts. We have resource centers throughout the entire nation, so that persons who are at a disadvantage can be able to still pursue their lifelong dreams, can be able to assist their children, can be able to grow a skill, can be able to do so many things that can help them to better their standard of living. And so they're not just thinking, okay, I'm going to go to work at KFC, or I'm going to go to work at one of the factories and get $360 a week, and that's that. And then I have to do on my calculator every day and wonder, oh, how am I going to pay this bill? They must set targets for themselves. They must be their employers. They must be able to say, this is what I am going to make. This is what my target is. And I see that, I feel it, because even though I'm a lawyer, I see myself as a businesswoman. I see myself as someone who have a business, and I think along that line, because I knew what it was like to be living from paycheck to paycheck.
I am happy that you would have articulated quite nicely on what you would do to combat what we would have gone through in this pandemic, and how we would help women and girls out of this. Over in Nevis, the Gender Affairs Department, we have booth camp, women booth camp. And so we would have had 3 so far. A number of women would have graduated through this booth camp, and at the end of it, they have a business plan. They can then move forward, and the idea about the policy would really take those persons to the next level. So that is something that you can
Pencil in.
That's right. That's right. One other question, Shani. There are a number of conventions that we as a people, well, as a government, we would have signed on to. The CEDAW Convention, which is the convention of the elimination of all forms of what you call it, discrimination, yes, against women. And you have the Beijing Platform for Action, the International Convention and civil for civil and political rights, and others. These are conventions that help political parties to engage more women, to have space for more women and girls. In as much as we have these conventions, what do you think need to be done more for us to really have more women and girls, well, getting involved in democracy, entering elective politics? This year we have 7 women. Next year we might only have 1. What do you think that we need to do differently or do more to have a steady flow of women entering elective politics?
I think through legislation, political parties can be given a quota. So, if it is we're running 8 constituencies, well, you say, well, at least 2 or 3 of them should be women. Or if you don't do it in that way so as not to force anybody's hand, well, you could do it from a parliamentary way. And so you basically set quotas through legislation to be able to encourage political parties to basically embrace more women and encourage them to run for political office.
We have been having this conversation for a long time because some of these conventions are 25 years old and more than that.
And you should have reached a certain level by a certain time.
I want to commend the Honorable Keith Mitchell in Grenada. He is the only Caribbean leader who has met the 33 and a third threshold of women in Parliament. Today is their elections. In Grenada. I'm hoping that
all women win.
that they will do well. My sisters would do well over in Grenada. But we have been having this conversation for a very long time. What is preventing us from reaching that threshold?
I think me and persons like me are missing from Parliament. That is what it is. That is what it is. And I think after the next election, you can bet your bottom dollar that quota, I will be pushing for that quota.
There you had it. You've heard it from Shani. We will now take a short break, and then when we are back, we will open the lines to persons who are desirous of calling in and wishing Shani well and asking her a question or two or just conversing with us. And we are back to Running in Heels. We will now open the line so persons can call in. The numbers you call are 662-1065, 465-6474, and 465-0546. Hello? Good afternoon.
Good day, good day.
Good day.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, thanks.
Are we back on here yet?
Yes, we are.
Okay, good afternoon, Madam from the Navy and Hazel Brandy-Williams.
Yes.
And good afternoon to the constituency representative of the East Bastard, Shani Grave Books.
Good afternoon.
And blessed joy to your listening audience via radio and internet for issues of freedom. Now, just to continue a dialogue, I would like to base it in a question of both female, because I realize you are putting the emphasis that of the way going forward as women in the leadership world. I would like to see what is the consideration for as a women when it comes to centralization of power. And when you again back a feedback, I don't know why, but I'm hearing a kind of beating, and I don't like it because it's irritating to the sound where I trying to echo. You see? But basically, I would like to say, what is your aspect when it comes to centralization of power as women? Because we realize many of our people go into social services and other things that indicate economical stability. But when it comes to the challenging aspect of things, where even in the local aspect and in the regional aspect and in the international arena, we find we don't really give the grasp of how we are going to confront these challenges. And I would like, as young women like you, Shani, and Miss Hazel Brandy-Williams, that you are able to bring a strong point when it comes to these challenges, things that we are facing around our community and our country and even in the regional and international, because we realize we have a lot of deals that we are signing on and we are not able to understand these deals. And when I mean we, I mean the people who you all are representing, because I don't know right now, is a global control with the Freemason, the New World Order, and you all are compacting with these people who are trying to dominate our country via finance and social good social program that they implement, especially by the World Bank, the IMF, and the Inter-American Bank. These are people who don't care about the common man and common woman. All they care about is economical power. So what are your stand when it comes to centralization of power?
Okay, thank you very much for your question, caller. I will allow Shani to answer, and then I will make my input.
But I think that based on what you would have indicated and what we have seen happening throughout the world, that there has to be a continued dialogue amongst the nations, so that there is there is adequate input by the different member states as it relates to any treaties or anything that we may have signed off on, so that there can be that proper balance and there is proper representation by the different member states. I know that you indicated that we are focusing on women, and there is as I would have indicated, we don't want to eliminate our male counterparts, but we just want to be able to have a gender balance, an equitable balance as it relates to gender. And I know that you are someone who carries out your research in different areas that not just affect St. Kitts-Nevis, but affect the world globally, affect the world. And I want to be able to have a conversation with you, not just a conversation where you and I sit in an office. Persons who represent different orders and who have different stance in community must be given a seat at the table as well, so that we can have an approach, a holistic approach in every aspect of society. And so I know that you are one who always keep politicians' feet to the fire, and I welcome the opportunity for your involvement, not just for you to call in on a radio station or call in and say what your views are, but you should have, based on the knowledge and experience that you have, you should have the opportunity to continue the dialogue, so that when we discuss things such as the centralization of power, we would be able to have it from a wide cross sector of society.
Caller, my take on this question is that we have to continue in dialogue, and the dialogue must be wide. It must encompass all demographics: women, men, boys, girls, persons with differing ideas. We now have to incorporate the LGBTQ demographic of society, and anything we do going forward, we have to engage everybody. So thank you very much for your call, and we do understand where you're coming from. Good afternoon, caller. Thank you for calling.
Yes, greetings to you, Nina. Same to your guests.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. Okay, we want to, the Westminster style politics are in a state right now, not just in St. Kitts and Nevis, but in other parts of the world, and it's quite an arena at this point in time, but we want to wish you all the best. We want to extend best wishes to you, and we see it as timely for us to have a feminine energy in the head of things, the Prime Minister, sitting in the Prime Minister's seat. I don't know if you have that,
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. But in due course.
Yes. We need that. We need a change. We need the change in that energy. Once again, we wish you all the best,
Thank you, caller. I appreciate it.
Blessed love.
Thank you very much, caller.
What the discussion is today?
I am here with Natasha Shani Gray of the People's Action Movement. We are meeting with the women who will be running in the upcoming elections. So today we start off with Natasha Gray Brooks of the People Actions Movement. So we would have spoken about a number of issues, and this time you can call in to wish her all the best, and you can dialogue with her as to what are her plans going forward. Shani, when we spoke earlier, we spoke about civil and what civil is about. Could you tell us, expound a little more on the workings of civil, so that any young girl out there or woman out there who are interested could become a part of, if they're interested in getting involved in politics?
Civil is a regional group that has different chapters within the different member states. We have in St. Kitts-Nevis, Civil SKN, and we offer guidance, we offer training, we offer support to women who are interested in leadership positions. So it's not just political positions, but leadership positions. And so although Civil is a non-partisan group, we welcome all political parties, and we meet every month. We meet and we discuss issues that not only affect women, but issues that affect the entire federation. We look at global issues, because as women we would want to be involved in a number of things that happen throughout everyday life, and it is an opportunity for women to basically get out of their comfort zone, be able to express themselves, and so also to increase their self-esteem. And I know there are members from different political parties in Civil, right here in St. Kitts, and from every political party. And when we meet, we don't bash each other. We embrace each other. We encourage each other. We try to build up each other. And so sometimes somebody would see me sitting down with somebody from the Labour Party and think that is my best friend, because in Civil we are about each other. We are about improving our women. We are about building our women. We are about ensuring that their self-esteem is improved. And I welcome persons to be a part of Civil. You will get training, not just here in St. Kitts-Nevis. You will get it from outside of the Federation. In fact, as I speak, the Civil group is offering training to all the women candidates in the Federation, and so none will be left behind, because we are about supporting each other. And so persons who may have that desire, that yearning to serve, that yearning to come forward and stand up and stand for what you believe in, Civil welcomes you. We want you to become part of our membership. But when you look around the Federation, and I am sitting right here next to a product of Civil, Hazel Brandy-Williams, the Honorable Hazel Brandy-Williams. Now, she has impacted so many lives from the work that she has done throughout, not just St. Kitts-Nevis, but throughout the region and internationally, because she has worked hard. And we want to encourage you to become someone who can sit here and say that they are proud Civil.
Hold your point. Good afternoon. Welcome to Running in Heels.
Yes, good afternoon. Hi, Carl Brown here.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, still a little feedback in the background. Tell the technician he do I see your job, but he still have a little noise in the background.
Okay.
Yeah. Question to Miss Shani Gray. Miss Shani Gray, I'm here in Maynard Street with a number of voters, and they are saying that they need to see you and they need to see Miss Jacqueline Bryan, right? And they are claiming that a lot of people between here is very undecided in this upcoming election. It is known to be a Labour stronghold.
But the people are asking Miss Gray that you come through here and come speak to them and come let them know your plans and what you plan to do for Newtown and Panstasio. The other thing is, what new plans, Miss Gray, as you is a new candidate in this upcoming election, you have for Newtown, Panstasio, Boardwalk, and the rest of the constituency? Well, we are accustomed to hear the plans about giving house, giving lands, job opportunity. Is there any plans for any form of industries in this area here? We're not the industrial side, but Newtown has been known for many years to be in a hub of business. And in Newtown, as you know, Miss Gray, there are many abandoned places where used to, once back in the days, used to be businesses, and Newtown used to be like, you could say, a town itself. What plans do you have to develop Newtown to make it a hub, or what we would say a town? Because here what in the name? Newtown, right? We don't see any pharmacy in Newtown. We have one little supermarket, it's Chinese. Do you have any plans for local entrepreneurs to develop themselves and to establish Newtown as it once was? Because in the 60s, the 70s, and even up to the 80s, Miss Gray, was all locals, businesses in Newtown. It was many.
Okay, I think she got your question.
One last thing, the Newtown Bay Road, that wall there coming down has done since in the 80s. It needs some repair. You should talk to the last representative for PAM, and he did nothing. And Baker's Corner, right there where you go across to the police station, that little wall there by the drain where people used to sit. I talked to the last representative for PAM many times about it. It needs some work done to it. It's looking very ugly.
Okay, thank you very much. Good.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Running in Heels.
Good afternoon, Honorable Hazel Brandy-Williams.
Good afternoon.
Soon to be, I would imagine, Honorable Shani Gray.
Thank you. I claim it.
I can't tell you guys how excited I am to see this initiative being taken, this program for one, and the women who have put themselves up as candidates in this election. It's not an easy road. It's not an easy road, and I'm speaking to the choir right now, but you ladies know that. And there are those out there who still think that we should find our place and stay in it. And so I am proud of you to have taken that step, both of you, a bold step to come out to represent yourselves and your countries and your constituency. Certainly, you will be a beam of light for young women out there who may have that aspiration, but are simply afraid because they haven't seen many women step forward. Yes, we have had women, and we've had some good women, but we haven't seen many women step forward. And so I just want to tell you two ladies, it's a start.
Thank you very much for your kind words.
All of the other ladies to come forward and take... I'm going to get myself in trouble right now, but let me tell you something.
Charge?
I always said, time for the guys to go and the women to take over. Because a lot of stuff we see happening wouldn't have been happening if the women were in there. Have a good afternoon, ladies.
Good afternoon. Thank you for calling.
Thanks for your kind words. I really appreciate it, and I would continue to do my best because I would not just be making myself proud, but my family members and the country on a whole. And so I really appreciate your kind words. It's not an easy task, but I am fighting straight to the very end. In relation to the concerns raised by Mr. Brown, I have been in Pond's pasture. I will continue to do my house to house and my canvassing, and so I'm hoping that I can meet those persons who were asking for me when they had the conversation with you, because it is all about trying to touch flesh with my constituents, looking out for their issues and their concerns, because East Bastia is not about me. It is about from what people think from 4th Street straight over to the peninsula. And I want to continue the dialogue because I don't want to force anything down anyone's throat. I want to always include them in my discussions so that when I make a decision on behalf of my constituency, because I will get that opportunity to make those decisions. I want it to be something that includes their ideas. Now, I'm glad that you spoke about the Newtown Bay Road. I have plans for the Newtown Bay Road. I have actually started just a small snippet of what I want to see as beautifying East Bastia. I would have installed a few benches in December on the Newtown Bay Road. I also want to look at that seawall and have the necessary experts carry out the research, because I can see the steel. Someone actually met me the other day and said, I'm so happy that you placed those benches there. But when I was sitting down and I looked back, I saw the steel and I recognized that these walls have not been maintained for many years. And so, being the representative that I know I can be, I know that East Bastia would have a better seawall. I know that East Bastia, that you would not just have these abandoned houses becoming a sore eye in the community, but there will be providing housing options to the community. And I also want to have a senior citizens daycare center. And so there are many abandoned buildings that can be allocated to provide that option for our citizens in East Bastia.
Okay, Shani, we are running out of time, and it was indeed a pleasure having you here this afternoon. You were the first person up, and I know how apprehensive you were being the first person, but you would have done an excellent job. In our closing moments, tell us or tell the young woman or the young girl out there what to expect, or what would you want to tell them if they are interested in being involved in elective politics, and you give your final words.
Again, I thank you for this opportunity, for giving me that opportunity, to have this discourse with my constituents, have this discourse with women. I would say continue to push for what you believe in. Do not let your circumstances define you, define who you are. Never put a ceiling over your dreams, because if you do that, you would not just be ruining your future, but you'll be ruining the future of the society. What would have happened if I had said at age 16 when I got pregnant that is the end, I'm giving up? I would have never been able to provide or even be a lawyer in the first place. I would not even be able to provide services to my community. I would not be able to sit here with you. You should not let where you started determine where you're going to end up. I would encourage women to come and have a discussion. Come and sit down and speak to people who have lived through it, who have been through it. My colleague here, my friend and my sister, Honorable Hazel Brandy-Williams, she is a very experienced woman. I haven't even lived some of what she has experienced, but I too have day-to-day experiences that maybe many people see as hindrances. I say, don't let that stop you from doing what you want to do. Just have that discussion. You look to people like Dame Constance Mitchum, who was the first woman elected in the Parliament of St. Kitts and Nevis. Forums can be organized so that you can get guidance. You can understand the working of Parliament. You can understand how to balance your personal life. I mean, I am doing a balancing act right now because I have a 3-month baby, and when I get home from campaigning at night, it's not done. Whereas the men can say, okay, I'm going to sleep until tomorrow morning. I have to be laying, waiting for when my baby is ready to eat. But that is how balance go. Women are strong persons. We are fighters. We are conquerors. And I know that once you get the necessary guidance and advice, we can show not just saying Kitts-Nevis, but the world that women have a lot to offer. And so I welcome persons who want to sit with me. I welcome persons who want to ask me just, how did you do it? How are you doing it? How are you coping? I am trying my very best. I ask God for continued guidance and protection over my life. I make sure that I pray every day. I try to take my vitamins every day. Sometimes I miss out on them, but people remind me. I want to thank Vanessa for reminding me at times, because without her, I would not remember. But it's not an easy road, but women, we can show that we can have that voice at the table, and it starts with persons such as yourself. So reach for the stars, aim high, and never let your circumstances define you. I look forward to your continued support. I look forward to your prayers. And I hopefully the next time I sit with Honorable Hazel Brandy-Williams, she will be saying the Honorable Natasha Shani Gray Brooks. Thank you.
There you had it. You've heard from her. Natasha Shani Gray Brooks. That is a woman running in heels. Join us again next week when we meet our next candidate who will be running in heels. Thank you very much.